Okay, good evening, folks, and welcome to Cayman Mall Road. I already see that we've got one person who's tuned in to the show this evening, so thank you very much for tuning in. We are running a little bit late this evening because we are trying a new application, which is professionalism to how we do a broadcast. As you can see, we've got a nice split screen interview set up that looks absolutely awesome. But I wanted to thank you all for tuning into the program. And of course, welcome my guest, Noel Cayasso-Smith, who's going to be talking to us this evening about the Cayman Islands AIDS Foundation. So that will be the first discussion that we're going to have. And then we're going to have a few other discussions coming up. So I just want to remind you, if you are tuned into the program, please feel free to, we will have an opportunity to share your comments on direct live on the page, actually, so it'll come up on screen. And we do appreciate you participating in the show. So without any further ado, good evening, Noel, and thank you for joining us.
Hi, Sandra, good evening, and thank you for having me. Yes,
we had a little bit of a glitch earlier today, but we're so happy that we can now have this discussion with you. I'm sorry, somebody would just send me some breaking news, which we'll be discussing a bit later on. It's very topical to what we definitely have lined. Just to give you the heads up, if you're just tuning in, we're going to start with Noel. He's going to be with us probably about maybe 20, 25 minutes, maybe even half an hour, because he's got quite a few things that he needs to discuss from the perspective of the Cayman Islands AIDS Foundation. And then the hot topics tonight include a few other things. So we're going to talk about Kaboo Cayman, and I just got a very interesting post about that. So we're going to discuss that for sure. And then we want to talk about Beauties Without Boundaries, which if you've been following the page, you know that Tiffany Connolly had a bit of an incident, and I want to update you guys on what's going on with her on Friday night, because unfortunately her troubles for the weekend did not stop with Friday night, so we will continue. Then we're going to talk about the drug bust this morning in Breakers, which was a lot of hoopla. And then we're going to talk about naming and shaming and get your opinions on that and what we do here on Mall Road. We're not looking to shame anyone, but we'll have that discussion at that time. So again, absolutely delighted to have Mr. Noel Cayasso-Smith joining us up first this evening. Noel, give us a little bit of an idea of what your foundation is all about. So what is CAF, as it's often known as?
Okay, CAF stands for Cayman AIDS Foundation, and we have been up and going as a registered nonprofit organization since 2010.
Okay.
Our main objectives is to educate the community on how to best protect themselves against HIV, AIDS, and STIs. So we do a lot of lectures and so forth. We also here to support persons living with HIV and AIDS, and also support families of people living with HIV and AIDS. As we know, it's a bit of a hot topic here in the Cayman Islands, and it's a lot of people try to hush about it, but it is something that needs to be addressed. And there's a few concerns that I've had that I would like to address as well that has just popped up recently.
Okay, so can you give us an idea of numbers then? I know a few months back, I think it might have been either early this year or late last year, there were some figures that came out about how many persons are HIV positive here in the Cayman Islands. Do you have any of those numbers handy?
I haven't actually checked the HSA website on that, but I think we're about around 176 total. But as you know, they always say you should double or triple those numbers.
Right.
And the reason that we say that is because people do go overseas to be tested that are not put through the HSA system. And also people don't know that they're HIV positive and don't want to get tested because they don't want to know. So the numbers are actually higher than we really think they are.
So that's interesting. So you're saying then that there's some people who are living in denial, really?
Pretty much so.
Yeah. And you know what is so funny when you mention people going overseas? I personally know of people, again, because there is this stigma that still is attached to being, HIV positive, especially if you fall into certain communities like the gay community. So I have, gay friends. I know some of them do go overseas because they feel like Cayman is not a confidential place. So if they get tested here, lo and behold, the entire island is not going to know their business.
Pretty much so. And that's why a lot of people go away to get tested and so forth. And we have a lot, although I've been told that I talk about stigma and discrimination too much, but we have to face facts. There is stigma stigma and discrimination here in the Cayman Islands against persons that are HIV positive. And I've always said this, and I will maintain it, that basically when someone found out that you're HIV positive, their attitude towards people will change. Instead of learning how this virus is transmitted and how one can catch it, and they just build up this wall that they just don't want to be around anyone, that if they touch someone, they're going to catch it, that sort of thing. And this is where the stigma and discrimination comes in. And this is the bar that we really need to break.
Wow. Okay. Curious to know if anyone, I'm going to just post this question on here. Hi, Angelica. Thank you so much for tuning in. We do have 30 viewers tuned in, by the way, so it's a good amount of people listening in at the moment. So I'm just going to ask you guys, do you know anyone that is HIV positive? Chances are you know someone, but you may not necessarily know that you know them, right? So let's go ahead and put that up on the screen. And I want you guys to tell us, do you know anyone that is HIV positive? I don't know for a fact that I know anyone that is, but I'm pretty sure that I do, because sometimes you just think.
Well, the thing is, you could be talking to someone and you never know they're HIV positive.
Yeah, you never know somebody's.
You never know.
Exactly.
Because I keep telling people HIV has no name, no face, and it certainly doesn't discriminate against anyone.
Yeah.
But one of the main things that I look at as well, and I think why the U.S. is more of a head than we are is because HIV persons will get out there and fight for their rights. Whereof we don't have it. We're always the ones, well, I'm pretty much the one that's out there fighting for everybody else because no one wants to disclose their status. And I can understand where they're coming from. Okay, last year we had 29 volunteers at the foundation because that's another issue that we have, holding on to volunteers. The first half came in and said to me, Mr. Smith, we would like the names of the HIV persons so we can better help them in the community. And I said, well, for confidentiality reasons, we cannot do this. So that half drifts away because obviously they are there just to get information.
Right.
And then the other half will come to me and say, I'm really sorry, but because we're volunteering here, people think we're HIV positive, and I don't want that stigma, so I'm afraid we're going to have to, resign from being volunteers at the foundation. I can understand where they're coming from, Sandra, because I have been there myself. I used to weigh 400 pounds, and now I've lost half that weight. And when that happened, the first thing people were saying that I had AIDS. And this is another thing. People don't even know the difference between HIV and AIDS. So they just blurt AIDS out there because it's the easiest thing for them to say.
Right.
And it's one of these things where discrimination is not a nice thing. It causes people to shut down. It causes people not to want to be tested. It causes a lot of problems within our island here. This is why our educational programs are so important to people. And also it's a struggle trying to educate our community because no one wants to come to our lectures, and we're trying to find new ways of, getting people involved. But one of the things that has been brought to my attention that I'm a little bit upset about is that there have been comments going around that the Caymanese Foundation has now turned a gay organization. The Caymanese Foundation has never and will never be a gay foundation.
I'm sorry, let's just back up a little bit. How did the Cayman Islands AIDS Foundation get started? Did you start the organization?
No, it was started back in 2010 by Miss Pauline French.
Right.
Mr.
And that's
Nurse French,
yes.
With her, Raquel, was another one of the founders. Miss Catherine, that works at Butterfield, is another founder. And Mr. Nunes was the other one that actually formed it together with Miss Margaret Michaud. So it was something that was put together back in 2010. And Miss Linda Bush was also one of the first people that was on board as well when it was first formed. She knew a lot. Actually, she does know a lot about the foundation. She's still with us, and she has pretty much all the information anybody would need about how it was founded, the name changes, and what we've been through.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, thanks for that information. So, so you've come on board as CEO. You were just.
Well, I started off at the foundation as a volunteer in 2013.
Okay.
And then obviously I worked my way up to where I am at this point. Okay. Because there is very little support from our community as far as volunteers, I am doing 6 roles within the organization. Basically, I'm pretty much doing my hands in every single thing that needs to be done. I think part of the problem is we have not had this problem with people saying that we're a gay organization before, I think, until we decided to do our dinner, drinks, and drag fundraiser, which last year was our 2nd year of having that. But I would just like to stress to everyone here, when it comes to fundraising for HIV and AIDS here in the Cayman Islands, it's a struggle. We are not seen as anything important. And every fundraising tactics that we have tried, we have not been able to be successful at. So we decided to do a gala one year, and we wanted to step outside the box because all the galas are the same. You bring an artist in and you pretty much sit there, you pay for your table, you enjoy yourself. So we wanted to step out of the box. So we decided to have a dinner, drinks, and drag event, which we had over 250 people last year. We're pretty much sold out at the Marriott. But I think because of this is now why people are saying that the foundation is gay. But having a dinner, drinks, and drag event as a fundraiser does not signify that an organization is gay. It's just a fundraiser. And I don't understand why they would say something, as previous as that, because it doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. I mean, at the end of the day, we are not saying that we are here for the LGBT community alone. We have always been here for our community in a whole. Every single person, whether you're black, white, green, yellow, or purple, we don't care. We are here to try and educate you and to try to put you on the right path in order that you can protect yourself from contracting this virus.
Okay. So there's this rumor out there. I just want to clarify this. We've got 45 people tuned in. So just a quick hello to Kathleen, Jamelia, Angelica. Those are some of the persons who are tuned in at the moment. So Angelica actually said that this is so true that some people also don't want to learn about it. So when you're talking about, I think, the fact that anyone could have an HIV positive status, you just never know. So this is a community topic that impacts all of us, whether we have HIV or not. The chances of us knowing someone who does is a very real possibility.
Yes, it is.
So at the end of the day, I think people need to be, involved and concerned about this issue. So you're saying that for 2 years in a row now, you've had an event, which I did actually see it. And I think the reason why you repeated it is because it was a successful event. Is that correct?
Yes, it was. It's one of our biggest fundraisers annually.
Right. So you do tell us what other fundraisers you do.
We do a Run to Zero, which is called Run to Zero, Run, Walk, Save Lives. We have been doing that now for the last 6 years. And last year we did it, we had about 20 runners. People sometimes do pay to support, but they don't attend. That happens a lot. And I think it's because they don't want to be associated again with the HIV and AIDS situation, but they will show their support that way. We do a 5-month collection day every year, and we have our annual tea party, which is a very successful event when we put it on, but because of what it is, it doesn't really bring the amount of money we need in to support ourselves annually. And the reason I say support ourselves, another factor is that a lot of people think that we get a huge grant from government every year to keep the foundation running. But in truth, we get about $45,000 a year from government, which is paid out quarterly. So we get $12,500 every 3 months, which breaks down to $4,000 a month. And $4,000 a month is not enough to maintain an office, staff, and all the things that we need in order to run an office, such as the Cayman AIDS Foundation. So we have to find ways in order to fundraise.
Okay. Shirley, thank you for that comment. Also because people, you mentioned earlier that you had undergone a significant weight loss process. People may not know your personal business. I don't know how much of that you've shared with kind of the outside world, but that was a very deliberate Okay, so we're just trying to get Noel back. So please bear with us. Hi. Hi, Noel. Okay, just give me a second. We're just trying to get him back online. Sorry about this, guys. Um, so we just have a comment here. Let me just check my mic settings actually. Okay, give me 1 second. Okay, let me see if I can get Noel. Cayman. The Filipinos come here and you see them doing a lot of activities together as a community, and same with the other nationalities that are here as well. Caymanians need to put their pride aside sometimes and support. Okay, so someone said we're down again. So let me just have a quick look at what's going on here. So we're trying to get Noel back on board. But so the bottom line is he has had some issues with people being critical. And I understand that this has actually come from even the higher ups in government being critical of his organization. And the fact that, you know, they've decided to do this very successful show, the Drinks and Drag show. So let's just see if we can reestablish his connection. All right, so I think we're back. Yeah, are you able to reconnect?
You're showing that I'm connected.
Okay, refresh your screen for me because I'm not showing you in my end. Looks like we had some kind of signal drop. So let me just send you, I think you're back up. Okay, great, wonderful.
Okay.
Awesome. So there we go, you're back now. So I was just, have this comment up, so I think you guys can now hear us again. Deandra had a wonderful comment. She basically said that as a young Caymanian, it's very sad to see that there's no unity in Cayman. The Filipinos come here and you see them doing a lot of activities together as a community, and the same with the other nationalities that are here as well. Caymanians need to put their pride aside and sometimes and support. And then we've got just a couple comments there about the actual connection. So thanks for the feedback, guys. So, so Noel, I was just saying to them while we had lost you there that there is this feeling that you have gotten as head of the Cayman AIDS Foundation, that people are somehow trying to say that this is a gay organization because you put on this drags and drinks event for 2 years in a row. Tell us, how important has this event been to your organization? How successful has it been?
This event is very important to us. Not only has it been successful and raised money for the foundation to do our educational programs, it also shows people that, I mean, I have seen people that wouldn't come to the show the first year that actually came the second year and enjoyed themselves. And it also showed people that we don't care what your sexuality is. We don't care where you're from. You know, all we're asking is everybody come under one roof and respect each other and enjoy themselves. And this is all about being unit. It's about unifying yourselves, yet becoming one. We have not had any problems. And we're going to continue doing this event because we actually think it's a good awareness event that we have on, because it's not only saying that, yes, it's basically based on the acts from the RuPaul Drag Show, but that's who we choose to include in our event. It could be anyone else, but this is what works for us, and it's a big seller and a big hit every single year. And also because of this now, my job title is being questioned because they're saying that because of my sexuality, that they wants to know if I should have the position I have. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what anyone's sexuality is. It's about doing your job and doing it correctly. I have been doing this since 2013. And believe me when I tell you, I have put my all into this. Since I've been with the foundation, we have been supplying condoms to our local bars for free. We've been doing a lot of lectures and so forth for the community, although that needs to be revamped because we need to try and find ways, like I was saying earlier, to bring people on board to learn about this HIV and AIDS. This year, our PSAs, we're putting things in the cinema before the movie start. We put clips up telling people, you know, get tested, know your status, what to look for, how to protect yourself, as well as the radio stations and so forth. And this all costs money to do. So, you know, if you see us out there basically putting on an event, we're asking for your support in this. And I'm a little bit annoyed because people seem to think that if you are a gay man in the Cayman Islands, that you cannot hold a certain position or a certain post. And here we go stereotyping again and discriminating. So discrimination is there. And I mean, there's a saying, he who feels it knows it. And I've been there many a times, but I've got broad shoulders. So things like this, as you know, Sandra, doesn't really bother me because at the end of the day, I am there for one reason. And that is to help protect our Caymanians, even if they don't see it that way. That is my role, and that's what I intend to do. Right. Many times, but I've got broad shoulders. So things like this, as you know, Sandra, doesn't really bother me because at the end of the day.
Yeah, sorry, there's a little bit of feedback.
That's okay. So our agendas for this year is basically to try and reach out to all our local bars to see if we can host lectures with the employees an early morning before the bars open to give them an idea, HIV and AIDS 101 course. We're also looking to distribute more condoms and stuff in some more bars and stuff around the island because it's easier to be able to go to a condom machine that's either between the ladies and the men bathroom and help yourself a condom. We're not here to judge anyone. We are just here to say if you're going to be out there playing, then obviously protect yourself. And we want anyone to feel that basically if they need any information, they can always reach out to us because that's what we're there for. Last year was one of the worst years that the foundation has ever faced. We lost our office because the building was sold. And we're in the process of getting another place. So it's one of those things where no funds is a big issue for us.
Okay, looks like Noel has dropped out a little bit. So let me just read some of the comments Angelica shares with us. I'm sorry to say it's not just Caymanians that can't get along or help each other. It is Jamaicans come here and pick up the Caymanian attitude and start to fight against each other. So, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, let's not make this a Caymanian versus anybody else kind of situation. I have definitely seen situations where our people have come together and have really demonstrated a lot of positivity and a lot of fortitude when it comes to, I guess, the right types of events. So I think if we can encourage people to know more about this particular organization and to also, let me just see if I can message him, and to also, you know, get involved and support it in any way that they can. So if you see them having a fundraiser, you know, maybe the dinner, drinks and drag show isn't your cup of tea, but you can still give a monetary donation. You can go, I know they've done like fish fry fundraisers. They do a walk, I think a couple times a year, like a 5K walk or something like that. So there's different ways in which you can actually support the organization, and that's really the key here. So we do have another comment, so let me just read a few more of these comments. Shirley, thank you so much for your comment. Shirley says, I remember some 20 years ago, my family, including my 2 young children, were included in an AIDS awareness poster, along with my prominent Caymanian citizens and health providers, along with many prominent Caymanian citizens and health providers. Can't believe this topic still carries such bias. And unfortunately, it is what it is. So that's very, very unfortunate already. Okay, so we've got a couple other people who are wanting to tune in. So we did share the link on our Facebook page. So if you go to the Facebook page, obviously if you're listening to this, you're tuned in. But if others haven't, you can certainly go to the Facebook page. Just a few more comments. King says, the whole carrot, but we're leading the change to change in Cayman. Noel has a strong family behind him. So he can do what he does bold and well and lead with pride. Good for him. That's a very interesting point, I think, is the fact that Noel has family support when other people do not necessarily. And whether you are gay, lesbian, bisexual, whatever, your family support, I think, is very, very critical. Your family support is also needed when you work in the community and you do a lot of, you know, nonprofit activities. So, for example, I'm just going to message Noel because it looks like we have lost him again for some reason. Let me just see if I can send him a quick message here. So again, it's one of those things where, you know, anything that takes time away from your family, I think, honestly, you need their support for. So I'm just telling him that we lost you again. So that is a very good point. Shirley says also that it was our way of showing the disease needs support from the mainstream. And I do absolutely agree. Like we've said, anyone can be HIV positive, and it doesn't have to be someone who is gay, lesbian, or bisexual. Lots of straight people have been impacted by this disease in this day and age. And remember, there were a lot of very famous cases when it first kind of got the public's attention, like in the early 80s, of people having blood transfusions and picking it up that way. So now there are mechanisms in place that make it less likely that that type of a situation would occur. But to be honest, there's still situations where innocent people are put at risk every single day. And that includes from their partners, not, for whatever reason, protecting themselves. And, you know, when a partner doesn't use protection, they may be out there engaging in extracurricular activities that you know nothing about, which oftentimes is a real situation. We have to be mindful of the fact that that puts everyone at risk. So there's just situations where people can still pick this up, and, you know, it's not even necessarily through any fault of their own. So let's protect ourselves, let's educate ourselves. Bronte has joined the conversation. Thank you very much. He says, I don't think it's Caymanian or Jamaicans. It's a Caymanian or Jamaican thing. It is a human thing. Some people are selfish. Some people are united, surrounded by people who want better. They'll help build better each other because it's a mutual desire. It's a mutual want. So I agree with you. I don't think it's with a person's nationality. We see it across the board here in Cayman. I'm still not seeing him. But right, so people do, like I said, things. Jamaicans can get together and support each other when they really mind to do it. Caymanians can do it. Okay. Hi, Noel. I see that you're back.
Yeah.
Yeah, the internet I think is a bit spotty, so we may have moments when you kind of drop out.
Yeah, we have a lot of trouble with the internet anyway. So
yeah, so we're just reading some of the comments here from some of the people participating in the show. We've got almost 40 people still hanging in there with us. So again, thank you so much for participating in this evening's program. So King has said Cayman Malese is what some people call it. I'm not familiar with that term. King, can you clarify what that means? Because I have actually not heard that term before. So it looks like I'm about to learn something new here today. King, school me, please.
You touched on something, Sandra, that's really important, and that's family support in a lot of things.
Yes.
I think why I'm so strong-minded is because, as you know my family, and my family is very supportive of me and doesn't judge me or stereotype me in any way whatsoever. And that's one of the things that I love about my family. And like you said, that not everybody's families are so forthgiving. And people do find themselves in situations where a family member becomes HIV positive, because I've seen this, and the entire family shun away from them instead of trying to learn about it and to help that family member. So then this is where the foundation comes as well, because we then have to go in and help, to support these individuals and stuff, and try to get the families on board to help the individual, because obviously they need help because they're going through a situation where they don't want to feel like as if they're isolated from everyone. And family support is a big thing in every way, and I think Cayman has lost that unity years ago. I remember when we were growing up, they said it takes a village to raise a child, and it's like we have lost who we were. Our identity as Caymanians, we have pretty much lost, and it's a shame, really.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, hopefully we haven't lost it. It's just hiding, and you can see during times it comes back, like during Ivan, where people really came together and showed their support and love for each other. So, I think it's very possible, but unity tends to come during those times when we are struggling the most. And it's unfortunate to say that, but I guess it is what it is. So what else has the AIDS Foundation been involved in?
Well, pretty much, we're not a foundation that go out and do community support like a lot of the people that go out and do like cleanup campaigns and plant a tree. Our main goals is to try and educate, like we were saying earlier, and that is what we need to push for 2019. I mean, our numbers has dropped since year before last. Because year before last, it was 16 people that were diagnosed with HIV, 10 expats, 6 locals. And if I'm not mistaken, it was 6 last year. So we're not doing too bad, but a lot of education still needs to go out there. And I will only like to say to people out there, educate yourself. That's the only way you're going to protect yourself. We have a saying, respect yourself and protect yourself. And remember, whatever you're doing, always use a condom. That is very, very important, because no one is going to be forthcoming in telling you that they're HIV positive. And like we said earlier, people out there don't even know they're HIV positive. So you can't blame anyone but yourself if you got to engage in high risk behavior and don't use protection.
Right. Okay. So just a clarification. I think one of our viewers, she actually corrected, Tiana corrected that for me. She said, it's Cayman malice. That's what King was trying to say. I'm sorry, King. I thought that this was some new word. I'm like, what the heck is this? This is some French term that King is throwing out at me. So apparently it's Cayman malice. So I got it now. Shirley is indicating that she would like for us to share the broadcast so that they can tune into some topics that they may miss. Not to worry, Shirley. The beautiful thing about a live stream event like this is it's always saved on the Facebook page, so you're always able to go back and view it at your convenience. We will be eventually adding all of these videos to our Mod Road page as well.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we just haven't quite gotten around to that because we're just really getting started with the videos. So I'm so happy that we found this format, which works extremely well for us. First one out of the barn tonight with Noel, so he's a winner guinea pigs, so to speak, for this tonight. But so far, it's been going pretty decent. So we will definitely share it there, and we'll see if it's possible to maybe even share it on YouTube and other platforms. And Angelica, sorry, agrees with Shirley, says thanks. I was just about to say that. So we've got almost 50 people tuned in. So Noel, what other fundraisers, when you dropped out for a little bit there, I was telling our viewers that you do other stuff. You do, I know, for example, a 5K walk, I think once or twice for the year.
Yeah, called Run to Zero.
Yeah, so tell us what else you've got going on.
Okay, we do the Run to Zero, Run, Walk, Save Lives. That's October. We do our annual tea party, which is in May. And we also do a 5-month collection day, which we go out into town with the firemen and try and raise money for awareness projects. So if you see us out there with the fireman hats and stuff, please give generously. And of course, our biggest event that's coming up this year in November will be the Dinner, Drinks, and Drive. And I'd just like to tell everyone, before you be judgmental about this, please buy a ticket and come and see it, and then pass your opinion, because a lot of people that did pass bad reviews last year year before last, I guess when we just started this year, came last year and enjoyed themselves and been raving and ranting about it and actually put their name down for tickets for this year. So it's not about the foundation, like we were saying, becoming a gay foundation. That is absolutely nonsense. We're not a gay foundation. We're there for every single person. We're there for the LGBTQ community. We're there for the straight community. We're there for anyone that needs our support. That is what we're there for. And as far as it comes to me, my title, and my sexuality, and people thinking that because of my sexuality, I should not have the post I have, I don't think that is a really fair judgment, because I am 50. Last year I turned 50. I look good, by the way. And in the 50 years that I've known myself, I've done absolutely nothing to disgrace or disrespect myself or my family. I hold my head up. Just because I'm a gay man in this society does not mean that I go out there and do things that I should not do. There's a line that no one should cross, whether you're straight or gay or whatever you are. You have to respect yourself and remember that.
Okay, so Jamelia wants to know when will be the next fish fry. So do you have any dates set for?
We're
Give us your email address, because there are
my email address is
here with
email at info@caf.ky, which is the main one, or you can email me at noel@caf.ky. Our number is 946-3029, or the website is www.caf.ky. Any of those you can get us on.
029.
And as far as the question on the fish fry, we didn't have it for the last 2 years, and everybody's still waiting for a fish fry. So we think we're going to possibly have one coming up in June.
Okay.
So we're pushing for June on that one, because what happened, we used to have it at the cricket field, but there was some incident there with burning wood in a rim or something, and the CIA people stop you from cooking out there now because of the flight path. So we have to find another location. So we will be posting something up shortly on all our social media, when it's going to be and how much it's going to cost.
Okay, so Angelica is asking about ticket prices. So again,
is that for the fish or is that for the show?
I think she might have been talking about for the fish. But you said you'll announce
$12 for the fried fish.
Okay, and Miss Ann wants to know if the AIDS Foundation is hiring. But of course, you guys are nonprofit.
We're a nonprofit, and believe me, we wish that we could hire more people, but the funding is just not there to do so at this point.
Yeah. Any way that you can, other than your fundraising efforts, I mean, is there any lobbying that you can do to the Cayman's government to perhaps provide you with a little bit more funding?
We have written to government several times asking for an increase. They did give us a $5,000 increase last year, which brought us to $45,000. But in truth, that's just not enough for us to run the organization. And as much as we've been told we need to fundraise, it's not that we're not trying to fundraise. It's just that we're always at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to fundraising, because once again, people do not see the Cayman Islands as having an HIV problem. Even when we ask overseas entities for assistance, we've been told that the Cayman Islands don't have a problem with HIV and AIDS, and they cannot fund us any money.
We don't have a problem. That's what we've been told. Really? Wow.
So that's the issue that we're facing here. So
that's definitely when government has their head stuck in the sand, which we shouldn't be surprised by. Just a couple more comments. Noel, by the way, it looks like you're going to take up a full hour, which I don't mind. We can discuss those other issues later on because I don't want it to drag on too long for people. So, but we got some hot topic issues that definitely we can pick up on tomorrow. But King says that he actually private messaged me on WhatsApp, and he said no. He said it's pronounced, it's not malice. So he's correcting us. He said, and so of course we're all learning something a little bit new here this evening. He said it's pronounced malise, which is kind of what I was saying I thought it was. And he said it's a term that he picked up from expats in Cayman, who said it's almost like an urban legend, but there's a negative string of events or change of mentality when they move to the island. So they are feeling some sort of negativity, and they've given it a whole new term that I've never heard of before. But then he also says, congratulations to you, Noel, on what you're doing with the organization. Angelica says, I, for one, don't support gay, okay, but I don't pass judgment on anyone. I actually find them to be nice and good heart. I'm talking about the show. Okay, well.
Oh, thank you.
Well, he'll give you more information on the show. The show normally takes place when?
The show is it's booked for November 30th this year.
Okay. All right.
So, but we'll be posting information out. Actually, we got save the dates on our Facebook page, and we'll be posting stuff out shortly with ticket prices and what to expect. Of course, you know, the RuPaul Drag Show has not aired season 11 yet, so we haven't actually picked who we're bringing down this year as yet. So.
Okay. All right. Very good. So a little bit more information there will be forthcoming. So I want to kind of wrap things up with Noel. Of course, Noel, you're always welcome to come back.
Thank you.
Now in the record books for joining me for the very first segment of this particular format. I think it went pretty well, to be honest.
Yeah.
I love being able to share comments on screen and put up questions and stuff like that on screen. And again, we've got, at one point it went up to 50 people. Now it's back down to 38 viewers that were tuned in this time of day. So maybe I need to adjust the time a little, get home and grab a cup of tea and sit down and really watch the program. Angelica did come back and said she loved that show. So I guess perhaps she's actually seen it before. So let me just say that we were very delighted that you could join us this evening. And we will definitely be happy to have you on again if you'd like to join us. Any final comments that you'd like to leave with the viewers at this time?
Yes. The new thing that we're pretty much working on at this time, and this is something that the foundation has been getting a lot of emails and phone calls on. I can't say too much about it because we're still trying to get a confirmation on it. But I was told after speaking to Mr. Ezer that members of government did say that a law has been passed that HIV persons are allowed to work in the Cayman Islands. We're not certain yet whether or not that is true because the emails has been sent up with no response or no acknowledgements. So we're still waiting to see where that situation is set because a lot of people are still asking questions about it on a daily basis from overseas, which I think is a really important topic. And I'll get back to you on that once I dot the I's and cross the T's because I think that would be very important as well.
Well, that's certainly information that our government should be, I would have thought, involving the people in before even making that sort of discussion. But perhaps it leads back to this inability of people to not discriminate. I don't really know. But having said that, that's very odd because I do know for a fact that even in the US, there's still medical criteria, and having a communicable disease such as HIV would be one of those things that you have to inform them of when you apply for different statuses. So whether it's getting a work permit there or entering their country, whatever, they want to know your status, and they can make decisions based on those things. So they can decide, you know. So we're taking a very different approach. I'd like to hear where that's coming from.
Well, I mean, everybody knows that if you're HIV positive and you're not a Caymanian, you're sent off island.
You're supposed to be. That's right.
Yeah.
But of course, what we found happening a lot was people were coming here in temporary work permits, not having to conduct a medical, working for 3 months, leaving, coming back. And I understand that a lot of bars were rolling people over on this 3-month status all the time, bringing them for 3 months, letting them leave, so that they never actually had to be
tested. I think that is also going to be changed in the near future.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, with the new immigration regime, which we're trying to get someone in to come in and discuss that, that has already changed because 3-month permits are no longer permissible. You get a 1 month and then you have to put in for your 1 year and that's it. So we're still trying to get someone to come in from the immigration side to discuss that, but that has effectively eliminated that from happening. So if they stick to this new, as of February the 1st, it's been implemented. If they stick to that, then that's what the law is right now. So it's kind of funny, but King comes back and says the comments displayed is a nice touch. Angelica said, thank you, Miss Noel, and congratulations. And then something made King chuckle because he did a LMAO. So anyway, Noel, thanks again for joining us this evening. We do really appreciate you coming in, and feel free to come in at any time, I would say, and spend some time with us. And I hope that you have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, same to you.
And thanks for joining us.
Likewise, and thanks everybody for listening.
Okay, folks, so I'm just gonna split our screen back here, right? So Noel's gone. We're gonna continue on discussing a few more things. I am a little tight for time this evening, and I know that it's already 8:28. We started at 8:40, so we're gonna go right up until 8:40 to continue this discussion. So, okay, so King was saying it was the bar comment that made him chuckle. Well, sometimes the truth is indeed amusing. So a couple of things. I wanted to be able to share something on the screen, but I'll have to, I'm still learning some of the features of the system here, so that's not something I can do this evening, but we do have screen sharing coming up, which, by the way, we've got 46 people tuned in right now, so I'm going to make this announcement for next week. We're going to have a hot topic show. We're going to be featuring a bit of a full dialogue on, I'm just going to type this message here, with screen shares, etc. So we're going to have a show next week featuring a discussion of Mr. Leslie. This is something a lot of you have been asking me to do and you want some additional information. So that's definitely coming, hopefully next week, Monday. I just need to put together quite a few things to have that discussion. Before we wrap up for the evening, someone just sent me a screenshot. I don't know how true this is. It's something that came up on social media. So it says that I think King is signing out. Thank you, King, for joining us. We know that you're in the UK, so you are in a different time zone. It's probably getting very late there. Someone just posted this, Rover, and he's actually posted it to, he did a public post, and I don't know, who he is on Facebook, but someone sent me the screenshot. And it said that, hear this, Kaboo lost US $15.3 million for the Cayman event, even though it was a great event and sold out. I don't know if that's true or not, and I don't know where Rover, that's his Facebook name, actually got that information from, but Kaboo was going to be our next topic of discussion, so we can certainly go ahead and have that discussion now. I don't know if that's true. I'm not really sure where that information would have been acquired from. Let me just pull up the discussion here. So by all accounts, the Kaboo event, which Kaboo Cayman was a musical event, appeared to have been extremely well received. We saw, for example, on various platforms, we made the Billboard's news, their website, saying that really and truly, I'm just going to pull up that article real quick, that the Kaboo event has put the fire out, and they spelled fire after that event that they had in, I think this was in Bahamas. It was just told, it was an American guy on, and he now involvement in that event. So I'm just going to ask you guys here what you think of Kaboo. I don't know if you went, so let's just ask that question first of all. Let's just see here. Sorry, guys. Just trying to get used to this. So did you actually attend Kaboo King and went to that? No. What did you think? Like I said, the feedback was extremely positive from a lot of people who did go to the event. There were some growing pains, some complaints. Some people said, listen, they needed to sort out the situation with the drinks a little bit better. And, you know, other people said that the food area, drinks and food, that was kind of like the biggest complaint that I heard. But other than that, it seems that people really enjoyed the event. They said the music was wonderful. It was a good selection, a good cross-section of individuals, performers who came down for the event. So let me just pull up. I know for sure it was the Billboard News that we made, and we also made, I think it was the Daily News out of the UK, that had some very, very positive things to say about this event. And in many ways, it has now put Cayman on the map musically, which I don't think anybody wants to complain about that, right? We need some events that can draw people here. And the thing that I found very, very interesting about it is not only did it draw a lot of people, but it also brought in a lot of Caymanians. It brought out Caymanians to the event that evening. So in the dailymail.co website, they said chain smokers and Brian Adams set Kaboo Cayman day 1 alit. So they were some of the initial performers for the first day. And then the Billboard's article said Cayman's Kaboo, Jason Feltz, and how the festival put out the fire in the Cayman Islands. So again, a really good lineup. I've seen some of the videos that have been circulating, and a lot of people just really had a fantastic time based on the feedback. So Marina has joined us. Marina said it was well organized and it was a great representation of the Cayman Islands. I know that just there were another 64 comments when we posted on our Facebook page. I think it was yesterday at 12 o'clock, so noon, what people thought of the event. Tracy, for example, said the best ever. Paula Tatum said there were no words to describe it. It's just what Cayman, this is what Cayman has never seen anything like this before. It was perfectly organized, little to no hiccups, zero trouble, just people dancing and singing beside people they just met, and God would have loved this event. Wow, that's fantastic. I'm anxiously waiting for 2020's ticket release. A few other people said the Wi-Fi, we did hear that a few times. The Wi-Fi was weak or non-existent, and apart from that, it was awesome. Someone says awesome lineup. Though the drink queues were too slow, and the smell for the water seeping up through the grass at Coral Reef Stage put me off watching anything from the VIP area. So I'm not sure what that was about, but hopefully that's something that can be addressed going forward. Nicoletta had also posted such an epic, unforgettable event that our little island, very proud of the organizers and all the people in Cayman that made this event possible. So listen, it seems like it was quite a massive event to put on, but Kaboo is an international brand. I mean, they do have other events that they put on like this. So the Cayman lineup was certainly one. There's one in Texas, in Arlington, Texas. That's a Texas music festival that happens there, and that's Kaboo, Texas. So they do have other locations. They have one called Kaboo Del Mar. So they do have other locations that they put on. So listen, this isn't their first time, you know, out of the rodeo, so to speak. They've done this before, and presumably they've done it with significant success. So that's good to know. And in addition to that, remember now that they partnered with DART. And of course, DART is DART. You know what I'm saying? So he's got the resources in terms of the manpower, the staffing, as well as even assisting with the venue. You know, one of my concerns all the time is when I see local promoters having an event here in the Cayman Islands, I do feel really bad for them because their resources are a bit limited in the sense that everything in Cayman is super expensive. So when they purchase liquor, you know, they're getting it already overpriced, and then they try to pass that on to the event attendees. And of course, that naturally impacts what they're pricing drinks at, as well as, you know, bringing in these musical acts can be extremely expensive and very, very costly. But when you partner with someone like DART, you have the benefit of that partnership. So of course, everyone knows that DART has he owns a liquor company. So he has his own distribution and wholesale liquors, right? So he can save money on that end and pass that on to the event planners as well. So, you know, there's a number of, I think, very positive things that can come out of that type of relationship that is there that will benefit both parties and ultimately people of the Cayman Islands. So I'm really glad to hear that it was a successful event. Again, I don't know where Rover would have gotten that $15.3 million from. No clue. It sounds like a lot to me. I'm not sure I'm really believing that. But in addition to that, at this point in time, probably nobody knows what the organization made or lost because those figures haven't yet been finalized. I mean, if you're an accountant, you're still counting ticket sales. You're still looking at the final cost of different things. They obviously had people at their event, at their venue, where they would have been, you know, charging them to be there. And that being the case, at the end of the day, it will take probably another week or more for the accountants to put together all of the numbers and to really say whether this event lost or made money. Listen, success is measured in very, very different ways. So one way to measure success is the bottom line, which is $1. And I'm sure at the end of the day, that will be the final decision. We understand that this event is a committed event for at least a minimum of 3 years, possibly 5 years that they've already committed to. So we'll see how that goes with the existing partnership regime, which, like I said, will be with the DART Enterprise Corporation. So we'll have to wait to see what the numbers are. By all accounts, though, the success from the actual attendees, the people who attended and who enjoyed it, those people are saying that they enjoyed the event. So they loved it. They didn't mind paying whatever the ticket prices were. They had a good time, a few hiccups here and there, but nothing major to dissuade them from attending such an event again. So Angelica, I think, tuned out for a little bit. She wants to know what we're talking about. Angelica, we're talking about Kaboo Cayman, which was this big music festival that happened Friday and Saturday in the West Bay Road area. I think it was right after the Kimpton. So she's confirmed that, oh yes, it's here for 3 years. So that's what I heard as well. Let's see here. So Jamelia said, also heard that Caymanians got an extra $1 in their pocket. So I assume that some of them had booths and stuff like that set up. I did see some corporate entities messaging that they were at the event and posting their photos and stuff. So I'm sure they paid to attend those events, and as a result, they got some exposure, maybe some new clients. You know, I don't really know how that arrangement worked for them. We're happy to have them, maybe 1 or 2 of them come on and kind of tell us a little bit about that situation. But listen, guys, I also had on the agenda today to discuss, but I want to leave these for another day because they are very, very important topics. We're going to have a discussion about this whole beauty without boundaries situation with Cayman's second runner-up. We're going to have that discussion tomorrow. I'll probably do it as a lunchtime chat. So I will post it on the page so you guys can tune in. But like I said, if you miss it for whatever reason, just know that it's still on the page and you can always go back and view it later. And then, of course, the big thing with the drug bust this morning, early morning in Breakers, that is a situation where we're going to continue to monitor that. 3 persons have been arrested. We know that empty barrels were taken away. We've got some video footage that we put up on the Facebook page and on the website of empty barrels being carried. Now, I haven't heard yet if they actually found the drugs, but they did arrest 3 people on suspicion of being involved in that somehow. And of course, we will keep you guys updated as we hear more information. There was a rumor circulating today about a Caymanian potentially being found deceased in a hotel room in Miami. We have not been able to confirm that. And you know what? One of the things that I've learned in a short time that Cayman Law Road has been up, the longer a rumor takes to confirm, especially when the person allegedly is a Caymanian that's involved, the less likely it is that it's true. Because one thing for sure is news travels fast. Good news, bad news, it doesn't matter. It travels at the speed of light. And so that rumor came out earlier today. I believe that if that rumor was true, we would have known by now for sure one way or the other. So if I had my gavel, which I don't right now, I would be tapping it and saying, I do not believe that that rumor is actually true at this point in time. But if we hear anything different, we will certainly update you and let you know. So let me just let you guys know that tomorrow, I'll see how the lunchtime discussion goes, but I definitely want to talk about Giselle Johnson, she has ran to Cayman News Service and wanted to give her side of the story about how she's put in this article and she feels like that's wrong. And so we'll talk about that a little bit. Naming and shaming is what they call it. And then we're also going to talk about the beauties without boundaries. I think those are actually two very perfect combinations, two very perfect topics to go together for next live stream event. They're both Giselle Johnson and Tiffany Conley are both very beautiful young Caymanian girls. And I think it's a good idea for us to discuss what is going on with them. So Jamelia said, yes, that's true. I'm not quite sure what you're referring to there, but thank you guys for tuning in. Still 35, 39 of you actually tuning in at the moment. This is a really wonderful event. I'm kind of thinking, and this is a question that I'm going to put out there, should we, let's just do a quick little 5-minute poll to wrap this up, not even 5 minutes, we'll do 3 minutes. Should we have the live stream events like this at a later time in the evening? Normally we do them at 5:30. So should we have them later in the evenings, like say, what time, 7 o'clock? Let me guys have your feedback on that. So I'm going to ask the question, what is the best time to have the live stream events? And I'm going to take your votes now. So go ahead and send in your votes right this second to me. Please vote. Should we have the live stream events later in the evenings, like around 7 o'clock? Does that work better for you? And now that we have this arrangement where our guests don't necessarily have to physically be here with us at the same time, we can do a video connection. I think that that certainly helps the process a little bit. So let me have your votes. Just type in yes or no. 5:30 versus 7:30 or 7. Do you prefer it earlier? Do you prefer it later? Like I said, tomorrow we will do another one. And chances are we're going to do that either first thing in the morning or midday, but you can always watch that later on. So Jamelia says 7 is better. Angelica says 7 is better as well. So far people are feeling the 7 o'clock, which, you know, after the news seems to work for a lot more people. So anybody else feeling that 7 o'clock time slot, please let us know. Thus far, we have 2 votes for 7. We still have 33 of you, looks like, tuned in at the moment. So anybody else for 7 o'clock, or do you prefer the 5:30? Eric says that he has the same chair as me. The funny thing about that is I actually have a blue one at my other office and here at home, because I'm doing this one from home this evening. I've got the red one. So they are super comfortable, Eric. I'm sure you can testify to that. They're very, what do they call it? Ergonomical, good for your back and that sort of thing. But again, feedback, 7 p.m. or do we do it earlier? Fred says that 7 is good. Thank you, Fred, for the feedback. We appreciate that. Hey, Fred Dallas, I know you. Good to see you on here, Fred. Awesome feedback. Ms. Trilby says that 7 is good. Just waiting on, sorry, these additional comments to come up. So Edwin is all in favor of 7 as well. Right, so far everybody seems to like that 7 o'clock slot. Eric says super. Shanae, I think that's how I'm pronouncing it, Shanae, says 5 p.m. is better. Scheduling of times and sticking to that time would be better to avoid me really wanting to listen in and sharing in a particular convo. And then you have to reschedule. Lunch isn't good, as sometimes people are really busy and might not have the time to tune in. Absolutely. And Shanae, thank you for that. You know, we had it originally scheduled for 5:30, but because this is our first time using this format, we had a few technical difficulties getting the cameras up and going, but we definitely, I think we're gonna pick a time and just try to stick with that. So Shireen Chin says that she's in agreement with 7 o'clock as well. Our friend Johan Moxham, he loves Cayman Mall Road. And every time he messages us and we message back, he likes to say that that we're stalking him. So that's his nickname for us. Oscar and Marquette have just joined in. Good evening, Oscar and Marquette. We're actually about to wrap things up here, but we have a little poll going here. And I want you guys to vote on this poll before we wrap up for the evening. Should we do a 7 o'clock slot for the live stream events, or do you prefer an earlier time, like say 5:30? So Sherry Ann says 7 o'clock. She's in favor of 7 o'clock as well. Anybody else wanting to vote before we wrap things up? And I agree that lunchtime is kind of difficult, but what we can do is we can do the show. So for those of you who are willing to tune in, we can do the show lunchtime, and then you can always watch it later, because like I said, it stays on Facebook. You know what's an interesting thing, Shanae? The most popular live stream event that we've had thus far was actually a lunchtime event. It was when we had Skylar, the hairdresser, on. At one point, we had over 80 people tuned into that live stream event. So for me, that simply demonstrates that at the end of the day, if it's a topic that people are interested in, they will attend and they will show up to the live stream event no matter what. And you know, the beauty of live stream is you can just put it on your phone, because it's through Facebook, put in your little headset and you can listen to it. There is a feature within live stream, which I'm looking into, where you can actually do like a closed caption. So you can activate closed captions. So if someone wants to listen to it, they can just read it. So I'm gonna see if that is something that you activate actually during the live stream event, or if it's something that you put on afterwards. So Oscar, hello, darling. Oscar says, good evening, Miss Sandra. Good evening to you. Good evening, Marquette. Thank you so much for joining in. But we're about to wrap things up here. So if you missed the majority of the show, please go back and watch. One final minute to decide. Do we do 7 o'clock? So the vast majority of people are saying 7 o'clock is their preference. So should we do 7 o'clock, or should we do an earlier time at 5:30 when we do our live stream events? And right now we're doing it a couple of times. Well, we kind of do it once a week, but we do want to get into a firm schedule. We're doing it at least 3 times per week to keep everybody up to date. You know, we try to do it on the website for sure. We keep you guys up to date in terms of what's going on, but I think these live stream events are super helpful to interact with people and to know what's going on. So we will be growing with this quite a bit. So Johan says, during a cooking show segment, Sunday lunch picks always look hot on fire. All right, so let's go ahead and end it there. If you have any additional comments for us, definitely feel free to share those with us. I'll monitor the comments, but we'll move whenever possible. And then sometimes, like I said, we may have to do like a lunchtime event as well. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in this evening. This has been a wonderful event. Share the link with your friends. Let them know that they can always come back later on and certainly watch this. And of course, you know where to find us on CaymanMallRoad.com. We do have an IG page, Instagram page as well. So if you're on Instagram, check out the Instagram page, like that, follow us, that sort of thing. And I want to wish you guys a wonderful evening. And like I said, tomorrow we will talk about the Beauty Without Boundaries, which is Tiffany Connolly, second runner-up in Miss Cayman, and we will also discuss Giselle Johnson and her accusations that, you know, naming and shaming. Well, obviously in her case, it was something that did not work well for her. Good night, Miss Sandra. Great show, and we'll be back again. Thank you so much, Angelica. I appreciate the support. All of you that tuned in, thanks again, guys, and have a wonderful night. Good night.